Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Anchorage Ice Tigers Draft to Glory franchise mode here in NHL 23. So I am recording this the day after I recorded the last episode just because I am really excited to see what ends up happening with the Stanley Cup final. I'm also really nervous though too because more than likely after the Stanley Cup finals, this team is probably going to start to dwindle, my guess. Like, I've been saying that the last few years, but they've been surprising me. But I think this team is definitely going to start dropping off because some of these guys are a little bit older. Also, we don't have the best prospects in our system anymore like we used to. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens after the season, but I really hope that our team could win its first Stanley Cup and probably only Stanley Cup as we take on the President's Trophy winning Buffalo Sabres to see if we could win that Stanley Cup. Before we actually take a look at Buffalo's roster again and what they're made of, let me show you guys what has happened up to this point, how our team got here, also our player stats for the playoffs, so you can kind of get a little bit of a refresher. As you can see here in the first round for us, we took out the Dallas Stars in 6 games. We took out Frederick Bickle, so that was kind of neat to knock out a former first overall pick, I think, of ours. So that was a very fun matchup. It was also a very tough matchup for our team, but we managed to beat them, even though Dallas really didn't look that good on paper. Then we took out Seattle in 6 games, so we took out Boris Zikov, our former defenseman from last season, in 6 games as well in the second round. And obviously in last round, we took out the Colorado Avalanche in a hard-fought 7-game series. We were down 3-1 at one point and came back to win the series in 7 games. That's what gives me kind of hope that we actually might be able to win the Stanley Cup because we almost didn't deserve to get into the Cup Finals and we managed to find our way into it. Now, Buffalo's way in getting here, they took out Boston in 6 games, so they knocked out Kolemainen. They also knocked out the Sens in 7 games in the second round and knocked out the Carolina Hurricanes in 7 games in the conference finals. So they've been playing a little bit more games than us up to this point, but it's going to be very interesting to see who ends up winning the Stanley Cup. I hope that they have the President's Trophy curse and that we end up getting that Stanley Cup, of course, because if we don't, like I said, I think our time is running really low on a chance to win a Stanley Cup, but let me show you guys our player stats up to this point. You can kind of see that we're kind of relying mostly on Darby and Parrott. The two of those guys have been phenomenal so far, but we have still really solid depth scoring throughout our entire lineup. There's a couple guys that have been really underperforming, like Derek Keith, for example, but he did have a game-winning goal in last round. You also have guys like, who was the other one that was underperforming? Hartnell was kind of underperforming, but he picked up a bit in the conference final. I really need Derek Keith to get going, though, because this guy's usually a fantastic playoff performer. As you can see, in years past, he had like 32 points and 20 points in 20 games. But for some reason this year, he hasn't been as good. So we did make quite a bit of line changes in order to get our team that win against the Colorado Avalanche. But I'm really hoping that we could win this Stanley Cup. Like, Aiden Tays has been a phenomenal goalie for the first 2 rounds. He was not great against Colorado, so I put Koskinen in, and Koskinen started playing really well. So I am going to be starting Koskinen for the Stanley Cup Finals, but obviously he kind of has a little bit of a short leash, and we could go with Aiden Tays if we really need to. So as I was saying, the Buffalo Sabres won the President's Trophy during the regular season, so I really hope that they have that curse somehow, that they end up losing in the final, and hopefully that we win that Stanley Cup. But they have a pretty good roster, and it's definitely the best roster we've had to face yet. It's just going to be very tough to see if we could actually beat them. Most of the players on their team are veteran-based. There's guys like Malachi Gallant, which you might remember from when he was drafted by Boston. I believe that was one of the drafts we had a high-up pick in. But you can see, yeah, this guy is a very, very good player. Scores a lot of goals, a lot of points, that type of thing for an 88. And then, yeah, you also got some other good complementary pieces like Cam, Ferrario. Like, in general, it's a pretty good team, but there is a lot of age to this team, so maybe they're just a good veteran, like, kind of, like, maybe they have a lot of playoff experience. I don't know if Buffalo's won the Stanley Cup in this sim yet. Let me actually take a look at this. They might have won the Stanley Cup, or actually, no, they might not have ever won the Stanley Cup. I don't think they actually have. That's kind of surprising. But it looks like Malachi Gallant won a Stanley Cup with, potentially with Boston a couple times, which I don't remember if Boston won a Stanley Cup or not. But he does have that leadership ability. And then you can see there on the defensive core, like, they still have, like, Owen Power and whatnot. Like, it's not the best defensive core on paper, but obviously we don't have the best defensive core either. And then their goaltending is somewhat solid as well. So I really don't know who has the upper hand in terms of this Stanley Cup Finals, but I really hope that we could somehow win it, since we're going to be starting the Stanley Cup Finals on the road since they won the President's Trophy. They went 54-25-3. We went 46-26-10. So comes down to this: who's going to be the first team to get to 4 wins? Last time we were in the Stanley Cup Finals, we unfortunately lost to the New York Islanders, became really close to winning a Stanley Cup, and then of course we also lost to the Florida Panthers in the Cup Finals. So this might be the last chance this team gets. So let's see what happens in Game 1. Actually, let me make sure the lineups are set up the way we want to before Game 1, because I don't want to get it too much ahead of myself and then this team falls apart. But right now, this is what our lines were looking like at the end of the last series. As you can see, I moved Parrott to center, which is a little bit interesting. Derek Keith is playing second-line center because he's not been great. I moved Claxton to the wing, and I also moved Byron Farrell down to the... Byron Farrell's always been on the third line, but Bobkov's down there. Jorgensen's kind of dropping off quite a bit in terms of his overall, so I think he's going to be retiring at 35, which is not great. But in general, our lineup looks still pretty solid. Obviously, the defensive core has some good chemistry as well, which is always a good sign. So I might have to change up the forward core in the Stanley Cup Finals, depending on how we simulate. But for now, it looks pretty good. I don't think I'm going to put the Enforcer in because Hagos has been pretty good. Like, he was really good for us in the last round. 3 points in 10 games only, but a +2. And he's not taking as much penalties as the Enforcer did. But if need be, we could always put the Enforcer in to kind of rough things up a bit. So anyways, let's now get into Game 1. I am very, very scared for this because I really want this team to win a Stanley Cup, and if that doesn't happen here, I'm going to feel another heartbreak, but it's going to be, at least we're getting to the finals multiple times, because I think in Houston I only got to like 1 Stanley Cup Finals, so this has already been more successful, I think, of a draft to glory than the last one, so we're improving in terms of this at least, but let's see if we can get that Stanley Cup. So here we go, Game 1 in Buffalo. Let's see if we can get a win on the road to set the tone of the series here. Come on, boys. This is a big game. Let's get it done. First period, 4-2 Buffalo. That's not what I had in mind, Koskinen. And he's already got Bolt. That's not great. That is not great at all to start a Stanley Cup Finals. If anything, that's complete opposite. I mean, we're scoring goals. Danner has 2 goals, so the blue line's scoring some goals, but 3 goals in the first 3 minutes. And then now Aiden Tays has been put in net. He allowed a late goal in that game too, or in that first period. Yikes. We definitely need to find a way to shut down that offense of theirs, because their offense is definitely the toughest offense I think we've seen so far. I'm glad that we got 2 goals in that first, though, because if we didn't get anything, that would be looking a lot worse. But we could still come back in this game. We just need to play good defensively in the second, get a goal back at least in this second period, and then we could maybe tie it up in the third period or something like that. So let's see if we could have a much better defensive period in the second with Aiden Tays in that now. Second period. Hey, let's go. Oh my goodness. Avery Parrott with 2 more goals. Parrott's been a machine this playoff run. He had like a 4-goal game. He's been like our best player by far. Like, he's probably, if we win the Stanley Cup this year, he'd probably be my favorite for the Conn Smythe, I think. But we were down 4-2, and now it's a 4-4 game. We have 4 goals on 18 shots. What an effort by Avery Parrott, looking to get this team back in the game. He honestly should have the C on his chest right now, but obviously Jorgensen was the first ever pick we made in this franchise mode, so he has it right now. But if Jorgensen retires before Parrott, then Parrott, I think, is the next in line to take that captaincy. But anyways, let's see what happens in this third period, see if we could get that lead now after we were down 4-2 at one point. Power play, come on, boys, 5-on-3. And we do not, oh, we do capitalize. Okay, Ryan Danner with a hat trick. A defenseman with a playoff hat trick. I don't think I've seen that in quite some time. That's a big performance from the defender. We're up by a goal. We were down 4-2, but we're up 5-4 now. Final few minutes. Lock it down, boys. And we're going to win 5-4 despite being down 4-2 at one point. That is a statement victory. And we get a win on the road in Buffalo. We didn't necessarily deserve to win that based on the first period, but Tays comes back and plays great the rest of the way, and we get the win out of it. So I think I might have to start Tays next game again, because Tays was fantastic up until the conference finals, and then I started relying a little bit more on Koskinen, but right now Tays got us that victory because Koskinen started off very terribly with 3 goals against in 2:33, which is not good. But Danner from Bobkov, Danner from Keith, Parrott from Danner and Darby, Parrott from Hartnell, and Danner from Jorgensen and LaRose. Danner only had 2 goals going into this game, and he gets 3 in the first game of the Stanley Cup Finals. Unreal. He had 4 points. Wow. That's not what I was expecting. So, yeah, what a performance from Danner. Parrott was a -3 in his 2 goals, though. So, he was out there for the first 3 goals in the first couple minutes, my guess. But, yeah, that top line got a little bit shredded in terms of defense, but that's okay. Yeah, quite a few -3 guys. Bouwmeester, Eichel, Darby, and Parrott. And enters the goalie stats. Yeah. Koskinen allowed 3 goals on 4 shots. So I think I definitely need to start Toews next game because he was phenomenal the rest of the way. So, yeah, Aiden Toews is going to start Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals because Koskinen just completely didn't do good in that game. Like 3 goals on 4 shots, that's probably the worst game I've ever seen a goalie play at the start of a game ever. So, yeah, Danner first star, Cam the second star, and Lafreniere the third. Don't like our defensive performance again. We haven't had some great defensive games. Like in last round, we had a couple of them near the end of the series. But I don't like really our defensive play in this playoff run, but our offense at least has kind of helped us out quite a bit. So I am going to be taking Koskinen out. Well, not putting him in net. I am going to be relying on Aiden Toews again. Hopefully he could continue what he just did because Aiden Toews is the man. If he plays bad for like 2 straight games, then I might go back to Koskinen. But for now, I'm going to keep the team as is, I think. Yeah, I don't think there's really much changes I want to do in terms of the forward core. I could always move Parrott back to the wing and reconfigure this top line again, but for right now, I think having center depth like with the 90, 92, and 84, that gives us a better shot at winning faceoffs and all that type of thing. So if need be, we'll go back to our original lines, but we have a 1-0 series lead, so we're not going to make any changes other than Toews starting this game just because of the bad start that Koskinen had. But let's keep our foot on the gas pedal, guys. If we win this game in Buffalo, that would be huge as well. Winning 2 games on the road to start a Stanley Cup Finals would be great. Come on, let's see what happens here. Game 2 on the road. Let's see if we could take a 2-0 series lead headed home to Anchorage. First period, 1-0 us. Okay, Ricardo Hartnell. Like I said, this guy kind of has had, like, he kind of started off the playoffs really not that great. He started to pick it up, it seemed like, a little bit in the conference finals, so him scoring here in the Stanley Cup Finals is a great sign because if he gets going, if Derek Keith gets going, our team should do really well. But we're up 1-0 after 1, shots 11-10 in favor of the Sabres. Can we add to this lead in the second period? Second period, 2-0 us, let's go. Larry Wong, a big goal from Wong too. So we're getting goals from all 3 of our lines right now. The 4th line really doesn't do offense that much, but it occasionally chips in now again. But 2-0 for us going into the third. We have the lead. They're out shooting us 22-21. Can we just get more insurance and lock down this game and take a 2-0 series lead headed home? That would be fantastic to start a Stanley Cup Finals. Power play, we do not score on it. Penalty kill, nicely done. Come on, boys, just keep on it. Keep on it. Good defensive play, good goaltending, anything like that. Maybe get an insurance marker just to play it safe. Final few minutes here of Game 2. And we are going to lock it down 2-0. And Aiden Toews picks up another shutout in the playoffs. Yeah, this guy's definitely our starter for the rest of the way, I think. He's just been so good, which is not what I was expecting when I re-signed him last year. So Hartnell gets a goal from Danner and Parrott. So Danner again with another point in the Stanley Cup Finals. Parrott with another point in his finals as well. And then Wong from Bobkov and Eichel, which Eichel doesn't really pick up a whole lot of points, but it's good to see that. And yeah, Aiden Toews the first star of the game. Kamachi for them the second star. And Hartnell the third star with the game-winning goal. But we are 2 wins away from winning a Stanley Cup. Like I said, I felt like after we came back from 3-1, usually I feel like always when you come back from a 3-1 series deficit, your team sweeps in the finals. So that could be the case still with this. Obviously, we could honestly still lose the Stanley Cup Finals, but if this team manages to sweep this final, I will be pretty surprised. But yeah, we have a 2-0 series lead headed home. Seems like home ice advantage doesn't matter too much once you actually get to the Stanley Cup Finals, but oh boy. We're 2 games up on the President's Trophy winners and 2 wins away from winning the Stanley Cup. That's unreal. And yeah, Toews has been fantastic. Like, Toews honestly could be up there for the Conn Smythe as well if he was to play every single game of the playoffs. But right now he's played 14 of them. He's got a 930 save percentage in this playoff run, while Koskaran has got an 891. Oh boy. Got to keep our foot on the gas though, guys. We can't lay off here. Buffalo's a good team. They won the President's Trophy for a reason. So if we win this next game, though, that would set us up for, we need to win like multiple games in a row. Or, well, we'd need to win one more game, but we'd have basically multiple chances to win a Stanley Cup, which is huge. So let's win for our fans now that we're on home ice. And let's see if we could take a 3-0 stranglehold on the Sabres. Because we win this game, there is a good chance that we'll win the Stanley Cup. But I have been reverse swept before in playoffs, but I don't think ever in a Stanley Cup final. So I hope it doesn't come down to that, because that would not be great. So here we go. Aiden Tays starting this game as well. Can we take a 3-0 stranglehold on the Sabres, the President's Trophy winners? First period, 1-1. I'll take that. I'll take that. Wong scores first, and then they answered right back. Jacobson. Shots are 9-6 in favor of us, so not the best start for Tays, but I mean, it's not a lot of shots for both teams, so he'll probably be a little bit more locked in, my guess, going into the second period and whatnot. Can we get the lead in the second period? Second period, down 2-1. Not great, but at least it's still a close game. We're being outshot 22-16 as Lafreniere gets a power play goal. Tays is playing pretty solid still. He's keeping us in this game pretty much at this rate, because we're being outshot by 6 shots. So definitely need to get some more shots to the net though if we want to win this one. So let's see what happens here in this in this third period. See if we could tie the game up. We had a power play early. We didn't score. Penalty kill. Nicely done, boys. Come on, guys. Let's get that next one. Parrott, I know you like to score goals, man. How about Jorgensen, the captain? Penalty kill late in this game, and we kill it off. Come on, let's get that next one. We have only a few minutes. Power play late in the game, and we score! Let's go! Ricardo Hartnell has forced overtime in Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals on a power play goal. I think I might have to intervene and watch this, even though maybe not. Maybe I should wait till actually we might have a chance to win a Stanley Cup. Yeah, because this is only Game 3. Don't want to make the game all of a sudden think, oh, Buffalo should be a cup contender or something like that. Last time we watched a playoff game in the Stanley Cup Finals, I believe, was that Yuri Kulich goal. So I don't really want to jump into it that way. But a huge power play goal late in the game by Ricardo Hartnell has forced overtime. We're being outshot 37-25. So Aiden Tays is playing phenomenal right now again. Can we find that OT winner to go up 3-0 on the Buffalo Sabres in the Stanley Cup Finals? Let's see what happens here in overtime. Come on, boys. We tied it up late. Can we win it in overtime as well? Penalty kill in OT, and we get a goal! Short-handed to win the game, and we're 1 win away from the Stanley Cup. Oh my goodness, a short-handed OT goal in the Stanley Cup Finals. On our side this time, not like it was last time. Last time we saw a short-handed OT goal in the playoffs. Yuri Kulich scored against us, but Junior LaRose, or Jamie LaRose, what is it? This is his name. I don't even remember his first name now. I think it's Jamie LaRose. But LaRose scores the game-winning goal. What an effort by this fourth liner. He's been really good this playoff run. And, wow. We got outshot 39-27. Aiden Tays with a 37 save performance, and we're 1 win away from the Stanley Cup. And we have 4 chances to do so if we go to a Game 7, that is. But I don't know if a Game 7 is going to happen at this rate. Wong from Farrell, Hartnell from Bouwmeester and Keith, and LaRose from Eichel. We're 1 win away from winning a Stanley Cup with a much worse defensive core than we've had in the past in terms of overall. Aiden Tays first started the game with a 948 save percentage. Then you have LaRose with the game-winning goal, short-handed. It's fantastic. And then Wong, the third star. Oh my. I really didn't expect us to necessarily go for that sweep in a sense, but we have the sweep on the table. Like I said, usually, for some reason, always when you're in the conference finals, you come back from a 3-1 deficit, and your team all of a sudden just gels like crazy, and then you win the Stanley Cup. I've seen that happen for other franchise modes I've done before in the past, so it seems like this game definitely has like a set limit amount of like scripted options that happen, but we're 1 win away from winning the Stanley Cup. Parrott is got 24 points in 22 games. Is Aiden Tays going to be the Conn Smythe favorite in the Stanley Cup finals? Like, he's been phenomenal. I don't know where it's came from. His regular season numbers weren't necessarily that great this year, but look at the playoff numbers. Fantastic this year. Absolutely crazy. This guy was a 4th round pick of ours, and he's only like an exact fringe starter goalie. This guy is literally maybe a channel legend because of how he's played in the Stanley Cup Finals, because we have had struggled with goalie problems in the past because we got rid of Sean Cox and all that type of thing, but getting rid of Sean Cox has opened the eyes for Aiden Tays. Koskinen has been solid, but his regular season numbers were much better than his playoff numbers so far, but whew, 1 win away. Got to keep the lineup the exact same, I think. No question about it. No question about it. Okay. This is the time. Do we win a Stanley Cup Finals on home ice, or are we going to go to a Game 5 situation? If there is a chance for us to win the Stanley Cup, obviously I'll intervene and let you guys watch it, but I'll probably have to select who I want to pass around the Stanley Cup to, so that's going to be a very interesting scenario if it comes to that. But here we go. Game 4 on home ice. We win this game. We win a Stanley Cup in a Draft to Glory. Obviously, I'll still be recording more seasons after this because I want to see how players' careers end up. But we are literally so close to winning a Stanley Cup. We could almost taste it. Let's see what happens here. Game 4 on home ice for the Stanley Cup. Let's see what happens. First period of Game 4. Scoreless. That's exactly how Tays plays normally. Tays does not allow a lot of goals in this playoffs. And we're out shooting 12-6, so that's a good start for our offense getting chances, but their goaltender is definitely playing pretty good. But definitely got to keep our foot on the gas, get a goal, and anything can happen if we score a goal here in the second period. Like, this is a big period for Buffalo. If Buffalo wants to win the Stanley Cup, they need to show up in the second period. If they don't show up and we score like 1 or 2 goals, the series might be over. Second period. 1-1. Ooh, it's getting close. Gunler scores first, but a goal from Ricardo Hartnell gets us back in the game. We're going to go down to 4-time simulation for this third period just because I will intervene, like I said, if there is a chance. Even if we go to an overtime to try and win the Stanley Cup, I might actually have to live commentate over top of that because obviously a Stanley Cup winning goal would be crazy, especially if it was an overtime situation. But, oh, let's see what happens here for the Stanley Cup. 4-time simulation. Let's see if we could get that lead here in this third period and win a Stanley Cup. Penalty kill early in the third. We kill it off. Nicely done, boys. Power play. Come on. Oh, we do not score on it. Penalty kill. Kill it off, boys. Kill it off. Oh, and Schroeder scores a power play goal against. And we're down 2-1 here in this third period. We're down to the final 10 minutes. We need a goal here to get back into this game. It sucks because I want to win the Stanley Cup in front of our home fans, but that might not happen in this game. Penalty kill, and they get another power play goal. Lafreniere makes it 3-1. Oh, that sucks. We're going to lose this game. We're going to lose this game. So no Stanley Cup here in Game 4, so no sweep in the Stanley Cup Finals. But at least we have 3 other opportunities to win it. But if we get reverse swept, I am going to be actually really devastated. It's going to be harder than probably the Coolidge scenario, but that's not good. We gave up way too much power play goals in that one, so I think I might change up the penalty kill a little bit. And yeah, Camachi had a good game. Not a good game for Tays really, but I wouldn't put it on him, to be honest. So, oh, come on, Tays, you could do it. I think I am going to change up the penalty kill lines a little bit because we've allowed too much power play goals. We just got to find a way to get that next win. So Koskinen out, Tays in. Parrot's been kind of quiet a little bit lately, but still, I don't really want to overchange things. Penalty kill wise, do we need to change up anything? Not really. Maybe I'll change up something here. Maybe I'll take Bouwmeester off the top unit, and I'll throw Strachan on this unit. And Strachan's more defensive. I will also take Bouwmeester and put him down where Strachan is on the top 6-1. Just a little bit of a solid change there. See if that helps with things. And then I don't think I want to go back to our original lines just yet. If we lose the next game, maybe I will. But for now, we're going to keep the lineup like that. And we'll see if that's enough to get us that Stanley Cup, because if we lose this game, I'm kind of getting a little bit in the nervous territory. But right now we have a 3-1 series lead. Obviously, if we have a 3-2 series lead at one point, it's going to start getting very scary. And I really hope that our team doesn't botch all of a sudden, because, oh boy, that would be a huge slap to the face. So here we go. Another chance to win the Stanley Cup. Let's just do a real-time simulation the entire game, just because why not make it a little bit more interesting. But here we go. Another chance to win the Stanley Cup, this time on the road in Buffalo. Come on, guys. Penalty kill, and they get another power play goal. God damn it. We're taking too much penalties. Bouwmeester answers back. I love to see it. Good job, Jeffrey. Good job. I don't like that their power play is all of a sudden clicking like crazy. Like, even with those changes on the penalty kill, it doesn't seem to do enough. So 1-1 after one. Shots are 13-8 in favor of Buffalo. Let's get that next goal, boys. Let's get that next one. We have the offensive power. We could definitely do it. Power play for us here in the second period, and we do not capitalize. Power play again. We do not capitalize. Penalty kill, and we killed off this time. These refs are blowing a lot of penalties here. Damn, this is very similar to the last game, and Malachi Gallant makes it 2-1 Buffalo. Oh, no. I have doubt creeping into my head. Oh, Avery Parrott. Okay, maybe not. Avery Parrott, huge goal. Usually when Parrott scores, it's a good sign too. It's a 2-2 game going into the third period. We'll go down to 4-time simulation again. We're outshooting 27-24. We'll go down to 4 times, like I said. Let's see what happens in this third period. See if we can get that next goal. If we get that next goal, we just need to lock it down defensively, which Aiden Tays, he has done in the past. Jorgensen. Oh, Keith, yes, let's go. The two guys that have been here, like, probably almost the longest, Jorgensen especially, the captain, might have a Stanley Cup winning goal in his repertoire. Final 13 minutes. We're up by 2 goals. Looking to close out Buffalo and win our first Stanley Cup ever in a Draft to Glory franchise mode. Lafreniere makes it 4-3, so now Keith's goal is the difference. Come on, guys, lock it down, please. I'm going to intervene shortly, which is going to be scary because we might not end up winning it. Who knows? Okay, I'm intervening now with 4:27 left. I think I'm going to actually talk over top of this instead so we can actually kind of interact with who I want to choose. But then you guys won't hear the commentaries over the players and that stuff when they get to hoist the Stanley Cup. Yeah, actually I won't talk over this part just because I think it's better for you guys to interact with the actual game itself. So I will see you guys up here at the end of it. Hopefully we win the Stanley Cup. If not, we'll definitely go to another game. But, oh man, this is going to be fun to watch.
Here in the later stages of this period, it's a 1-goal game at this point. 4-3 is the score. And play resumes as the puck is dropped. The Sabres gain possession along the wall. Bats it down out of midair. And that one's turned aside. Grabs the puck.
Some guys shy away at this time. Others, James, they lock right in. That's when the game is most tight. When it's right on the line and everything that you do is under the microscope.
Here's a short pass to Wong. Oh, he'll feel that one. Kuznetsov's lugging the puck. The Sabres play it along the boards. Dumps the puck in. The Ice Tigers have it against the wall. Angles it over to O'Brien. Gives him a jolt with that hit. Les blazing in on the breakaway. Moves it to the middle. Oh, what a chance, and that goes off target. Directed over to Kuznetsov. Both sides mixed up for that battle for the puck along the wall. And they cough it up in the neutral zone.
Buffalo's played a really good game here. I like the way that they've checked. They've turned pucks over. Now they want to make something out of all this puck possession.
Nice feed. That's blocked. Anchorage has got the puck along the wall. Exploring options here inside the defensive zone. Strachan's taking it from his own end. And it's a quick pass to Bobkov.
He probably wouldn't make that play about 10 minutes ago, but now with a lead in the dying moments of the game, that's a safe, smart play.
Moves it to Ferriero. Denies him on the play.
Taves has been awesome tonight. I mean, it seems like the puck has been 10 feet in front of him the whole night, yet it has not mattered. He has been on his game, and his team's still in it.
It is what every kid who plays hockey dreams about, winning the Stanley Cup. I can't imagine the sting, though, when you're so close and it gets away like that, Ray.
Well, I guess there's some solace in the fact that you got all the way to the final, but man, you don't get anything for it. And now you have to watch the other team hoist the cup.
And here comes Lord Stanley's mug.
Always kind of fun to see who gets to hoist the mug first.
Oh, Captain, my Captain. Here comes Cap to collect the cup.
And for the very first time, you can only imagine the emotion coursing through him. He'll have the cup just like in his dreams.
He made plays right throughout the playoffs. Now someone's making a play to him, handing him the cup, Ray.
Man, good for him, James. I mean, what a creator throughout this playoffs. You've got to generate offense, and it's hard to do in the playoffs because the games are so tight. But the leader in assists, people around him became the goal scorers.
If you've played or you were a fan, you've dreamed of this moment, and he's realized his dream.
Every kid wins the Stanley Cup every day in their backyard. Now you actually get to live that dream for real. Man, I'm so envious. This is awesome.
Ray, the guys were wearing those T-shirts at the start of the postseason. No passengers. Case in point, another key contributor right here.
Well, there are people that make huge contributions and others that just have a small bit part. But when they look to you to contribute, you have to answer the bell. Here's a great example of that.
We think of the players on the ice, but Ray, as you see the rest of the organization huddle, and it really is a group effort here.
This means something to everybody that works with the championship organization. The cup is in the middle. You're in the picture because you contributed somehow.
So there you guys have it. We finally won a Stanley Cup, and I actually didn't get to choose which players were hoisting the cup. So yeah, I don't know why I was deciding everybody but Avery Parrott and Derek Keith. Like, this is kind of dumb. I literally gave it to well, Claxton, who's been here quite some time still as well. But honestly, if I would have given it to players, I would have given it to Keith for sure. I would have given it to Parrott. But for some reason, just because I had it set to like AI versus AI gameplay, it didn't let me get to decide on who actually got to pass around the Stanley Cup, which is dumb. Also, they gave it to Byron Farrell, which is a bit of a weird one, but can't complain anyways. We have won our first Stanley Cup ever in a Draft Glory franchise mode. After even losing some big defenders over the last few years, this team somehow, despite all odds, have won a Stanley Cup. I cannot believe it. We lost Cole Minen 2 years ago. I thought it was the end of the team. I lost Zikov and, who was the other one? Harry Cowell last offseason. Thought that this team didn't have a chance even to make the playoffs, maybe, really. Yet, this team makes the playoffs and goes on a tear and wins its first Stanley Cup. And probably only Stanley Cup, but still. what a ride it's been in this franchise mode. We've went through some really tough lows in the series. We went through some really, really tough ones with like the Kulich goals and whatnot. But we finally are the top of the NHL. And man, I can't imagine how great this parade would be. Like, wow. Toews not that great in the finals, apparently, in the last game of the finals, but basically the Conn Smythe went to Parrott, not a surprise because he led our team in points, but honestly, Toews could have been up there based on how he played and up until this point. Like, without him, I don't know how this team would have not won the Stanley Cup. Or how they would have not won the Stanley Cup. Let's take a look at some of these guys that were out there for the final minutes. Just because these guys I need to have screenshots eventually for too. But there is youngster Bobkov. This guy stepping up really helped out quite a bit. Who else was out there in the final few minutes? This is Strachan, who we brought back after buying him out, and he wins the Stanley Cup. How about that? There he is, good old Keegan Strachan. And then we have Morgan Denny, I think. Yeah, Denny, the offensive defenseman. There he is. Looking pretty cool. Using the aviator visor. And then we have Larry Wong, I think this is. Yeah, Wong is a pending free agent. I don't know if he leaves this year, but there he is. Larry Wong deserves that Stanley Cup. We also have, I think that's Farrell, right? Yeah, Farrell out there who got handed the Stanley Cup over Avery Parrott. I don't know why they chose him. Because Avery Parrott literally won the Conn Smythe. You think he would definitely get a chance to hold that Stanley Cup, but oh well. Like I said, I'll take a Stanley Cup regardless of who holds it. Then on the bench here, we got Ted Darby, who also got handed the Stanley Cup. That's LaRose, who had a big short-handed goal in the Stanley Cup Finals, obviously to win us the game. That one, I believe, is one of the other offensive defensemen, right? No, that's Reinhardt. Never mind. That is Malik Reinhardt, who's our fourth liner. There is Derek Keith using that A. Obviously, we've seen him a bit with some overtime hero goals before. There's Ricardo Hartnell sitting there on the bench. I don't know who that is offhand. It must be a younger guy, right? Yeah, that's Hagos. That is the youngster Hagos, who got thrown into the playoffs because I didn't want the enforcer playing. And yeah, he had some big goals for us as well. And then obviously the captain, who's been here since like the beginning. He wins the Stanley Cup. Unfortunately, his goal is not the game-winning goal. Derek Keith's was, but this man spent almost his entire career chasing the Stanley Cup, and he finally has one. And he'll probably retire in a few years, but there you go, Jorgensen. And then there's Avery Parrott, the Hungarian, the first probably Hungarian ever to win a Stanley Cup. Definitely deserves it. Also got, like I said, that Conn Smythe. There's Miles Claxton. Ref's kind of jumping into the way, so I need to watch out for this ref. But there's Miles Claxton. Really solid player. I re-signed him. I'm glad they did. That is... who's number 88? I forget. Oh, Eichel. That's Shannon Eichel, who spent most of his career in our AHL team, but got a chance this year with the losses that we had in the offseason. And there you go. He wins the Stanley Cup. Then we have number 18, who I can't recognize that number. Oh, Bouwmeester, yeah, that's right. Jeffrey Bouwmeester, the guy that looks old that's using a Titan stick. There he is with our equipment staff guy. And then that is Danner, I think. Does Danner have a gray beard? Yeah, that's Danner, who had a hat-trick in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals. He's now Cup champion. And finally, you got Koskinen behind as the backup goalie in this game. Looking pretty cool. And 57, who's 57 again? Oh yeah, Kalinin, who we brought back as well. So we brought back a couple of former players, and they helped us out defensively. There he is, Mikhail Kalinin, rocking the pretty nice chin beard. But that is your Stanley Cup final winning Anchorage Ice Tigers. Man, I am so happy right now. This has been a long time coming. Obviously, we went through a lot of troubles with Houston as well, trying to win a Stanley Cup in a draft to glory, but this time around we finally do so. Now, what I have a question for you guys is, after we wrap up this series, well, we are obviously doing a retro throwback franchise mode, but next year, instead of doing just a normal draft to glory, do we want to take a spin on things and do it like, kind of like what 2E does, like Nations United, where we could only draft from a specific country or specific type of player? Because we could always try and build up other teams other than this, but obviously it'd be nice to do more draft to glories in the future, because these are really fun series to do. Whew, like this might be my most proudest moment as a GM because it took so long to get here and we finally have done it. Okay, let's get to the awards and wrap up this season, but man, I am so happy with this. We won the Stanley Cup, Rochester won the AHL. But let's take a look at those player stats from your Stanley Cup winning team, as we just showed you all their faces, because that's cool to put a face to a name at least. So Avery Parrott, who won the Conn Smythe, 25 points in 24 games with 15 goals. He was a -1, but it is what it is. Miles Claxton, actually, yeah, he definitely deserved to hoist that cup in that celebration too. A lot of guys did. 18 points. He had a lot of points, I guess, in the finals. And then Ricardo Hartnell, 15 points, definitely started to pick it up a bit. Farrell, 15 points. I'm really surprised Derek Keith didn't do that well this Stanley Cup Finals run, but I mean, he was in the box quite a bit in the playoffs, so maybe that's his problem, but still, at least he wins the Stanley Cup. Larry Wong, 10 points, pretty solid as well, and Reinhardt, 9 points as a fourth liner is always good. Darby, 22 points, fantastic. Bobkov, he helped out quite a bit. He had a lot of goals early on in the playoffs and then didn't score after that, but still really good stuff from this youngster. Hagos, 3 points. Like I said, he came in and played really well. And then, yeah, Sabern was also pretty good in his 9 games. That is the enforcer. Jorgensen winning that Stanley Cup at 33, 16 points in 24 games, and now he's a Stanley Cup champion. Awesome. LaRose, 11 points as well. This youngster definitely stepped it up this year as a 79. And then you go to our defensive core, and like I said, our defensive core dropped off considerably overall-wise, but it wins a Stanley Cup. Danner with 17 points, Bouwmeester with 9, Eichel with 9, and then you have Denny with 5, Kalinin with 5, but he was a plus 14 in the playoffs. So in addition to bringing back these 2 former players might have helped out way more than we thought. Because the plus 14 and a plus 5, both of them shut down the opponents quite a bit. And then goalie-wise, Aiden Tays, can't ask much more of his performance. 12-4-1 with 2 shutouts, a .928 save percentage, and a 2.33 goals against average. And Coscarena won games, but his record was kind of streaky at times. But he's a youngster, so it probably makes sense for him to be a little bit inconsistent at times. But there is that. There's your Stanley Cup Finals winning team. Let's take a look at those awards now and wrap up the season. Look how nice that looks. Finally on top of the NHL. Especially after the Islanders won 2 years ago against us. Like, we could have had multiple cups in this franchise mode, which is crazy. But we end up winning when we had the lowest overall defensive core that we ever had. So that's kind of funny. And yeah, we beat the President's Trophy winning Buffalo Sabres for the Stanley Cup. Fantastic. Dawes the Art Ross, Magnuson the Hart, not a surprise. Boris Zikov, our former defender, loses to us in the second round but wins a James Norris. So congrats to Zikov on winning a Norris after leaving our team. Unfortunately, he didn't get to win a Stanley Cup with us, but it is what it is. Wolski the Bing, Bendahan the Calder, Parrott the Conn Smythe, likes to see that, considering he's had some fantastic playoffs in the past as well. Ekblad the Vesna, Ekblad the Jennings, Sedin the Masterton, Demers for Chicago wins the Jack Adams, McEachern the Selke, Magnuson the Lindsay, and the Lowry the Richard. Man, I am so happy right now. It's literally like, finally. We finally did it. Hey, look, we had the most outstanding rookie player in the AHL in Heward. That's kind of neat. And Frank also wins the best defenseman in the AHL. So we have some good guys doing some stuff in the AHL. Acton was the best in terms of sportsmanship and whatnot. That's good to see that we have some award winners in the AHL too. Because who knows, maybe some of those guys will get into the roster next season. But there is that. I think I'm not going to sim up to draft lottery and all that stuff yet, but I will show you guys still the draft class and the contract stuff right now. But I'm not going to sim up to it just yet because obviously I just don't want this episode being super long for you guys. But look at this, a franchise player's first overall. So if we would have missed the playoffs, maybe we could have had a franchise player, but I obviously would prefer that Stanley Cup, which we just won. So we're going to have the last pick in the first round for the first time. Doesn't really look like the strongest draft class, if I'm being honest, which is okay because obviously we have a Stanley Cup now. So, but we could always take a top 4 defenseman. That's not always a bad sign. There's also a top 6 forward here. We'll pin as well. Any guaranteed low elites to pin, or medium elites even. This goalie's supposed to go like almost undrafted, but he's a medium elite. But he's 20 years old already, so it's like, eh. Probably not worth it. Any lowlights? Yes, so one lowlight that we could grab in Wade Loins. We'll pin him 5 years out, though. We don't really have a lot of time left in this franchise mode, so there's that. Final few things. Progress reports obviously haven't been probably fully updated yet, but I'll show you guys anyways. Lucic could honestly be in our lineup next season. And we should be getting some drop-off. No, not any drop-off yet, but yeah, we're getting some good growth from some guys. Pusher's up to a 70 as a medium elite goalie. That's good to see. Always good to see growth. Then Glenncross went up to a 72. That's good. Who was the guy that said it was rookie of the year? I got to take a look at his stats from the season. Frank was the best defenseman. He had 69 points in the AHL. God damn. That's pretty interesting. Maybe this guy gets a shot at the NHL at some point, even though he's a 71 only. And then the other one, the one that was rookie of the year. Oh, yeah, it was Heward. Ryder Heward. This guy's a low top 9. He had 72 points in his first AHL year as a 22-year-old. Well, this guy might deserve a chance, but I don't think he's going to do much at the NHL level, but still, that's kind of cool. You see him get a lot of growth. And final thing, the contract situation. Who is going to be potentially leaving this team? Yeah, we might honestly lose Farrell. We might lose Wong. Both these guys are pending UFAs. But then we got Bobkov, Denny, and Bouwmeester, who are still all RFAs, which is great. Kalinin might leave again, depending on the cap situation. Saburn's an RFA. So at least we have a lot of leeway with a lot of these guys, but some of these guys might end up leaving after the Stanley Cup Finals win, which kind of sucks. But that's the part of the business, you know. And Koskinen is an RFA. Taze is still a UFA. And he still doesn't want really a whole lot, but there is guys in the system that maybe deserve a chance, like Novikov next season. So we got definitely some tough decisions. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Anchorage Ice Tigers Draft to Glory franchise mode. So in the next episode, we'll take it to the entire offseason. We'll try and maintain our team as much as possible, but for the rest of the series, pretty much, I think it's just going to be like more focused on like players' careers, because I don't think we necessarily need to win another Stanley Cup now that we won one. Obviously, it'd be nice to win another, but I want to more focus on players' careers and see how they wrap up their entire legacy, so to speak. So, anyways, think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.